Hello.
Maybe we should do a haul video.
I think we should haul. We should do a haul. And I like this between two feeds thing.
So Virgin has made big moves. Virgin Mobile has made big moves into social content, creating content, thinking of yourselves as a publisher, not just as a marketer. You know, why did you start doing that kind of work, and how has it been working?
Well, it's as you kind of if you look at marketing kind of in general, a lot of what's done really right now is studio-based marketing, right? Which is basically, I'm going to make a TV spot, I'm going to make an appointment with you on Modern Family to see that spot, and we're going to and that's how we're going to build our relationship. But because our segment is this like hyper-connected youth, that won't work as only. You know, that you have to complement that with a voice that's daily out there. And so we're kind of moving into this world that I've been calling newsroom marketing, which is basically more about headlines and daily conversation. And brands these days are more like friends on Facebook. I mean, that's what they should aspire to, but in an organic way. They contribute something to the community, and at the same time, they also get across the fact that this brand has a voice and a personality, which will increase affinity, which in turn will increase products and services, consideration of products and services. So it's kind of a bit of an experiment that we've been doing, but it's been going really well, and we've been partnering, obviously, you know, with Buzzfeed to kind of help us understand how often, what that voice should entail, and it's been really cool. I mean, the results have been really cool that way.
So so I didn't start out in marketing or advertising. I run Buzzfeed, which is a leading social content site, and we started to add brands in the mix, and we're thinking, how do we partner with brands? And the thing that seemed the most natural is to do what we do with content, which is make awesome things that people want to share with brand partners who can make awesome things that want to share, that they want to share. And a few years ago, people didn't seem that interested. Brands didn't really think that way. And now we're seeing this huge shift where all these brands are saying, we have content, we want the content to be shared. And I think one thing you're doing that's taking it a step further is this newsroom marketing concept is pretty different in that you're not creating an asset 6 weeks in advance, getting it approved by legal, and then 6 weeks later you push it out and you hope that people are interested in it. You're looking and seeing right now, this is what's hot, this is what people are talking about, these are the trends, and we're going to make content directly in conversation with that. How are you able to act in real time without some of the constraints that brands have in terms of getting approvals and that sort of thing?
So that's definitely one of the biggest challenges, and the luxury we've had, and that's kind of, this predates Virgin Mobile, but the Virgin brand itself has been one that's a 40-year-old brand that's spent 40 years developing a voice. It may have started in building bands, telling you what was the hottest band to listen to, or how you want to, you know, how you live your lifestyle. And so we have a luxury that we can create our voice, and as long as we build the brand filters of that voice, we have meetings, we pre-approve with legal kind of what the tone of voice is on that. What I love about, and you know, the interesting thing about this world is as more brands move into this, Buzzfeed kind of to me helps find that voice in brands that don't know their voice yet because they have a lot of content. But the way you spoon feed it, it's not like, you know, if your friend on Facebook, if your close friend on Facebook were to hit you every hour about what happened to them, and there are a lot of people out there that do that, but if they do it like all the time, you're going to get annoyed by that person, and you're going to be like, I gotta move on to path. But what happens is that as long as you understand kind of the cadence and rhythm of the voice of that conversation, you understand that it is a conversation that you have daily. You know, you start to build. You don't have to get everything approved because it all fits within the tone and filter of what your brand voice is. It's all we're doing is just fueling a conversation because frankly, we don't have at Virgin Mobile the money to spend on a media buy to do the level of, you know, X Factor style integration that you see out there. So we need to kind of be out there talking to prospects, talking to people and say like, look, you know, this is actually a more human brand than others in the category.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been great working with you on this project. And one of the things that's pretty striking is that the paid media is a component of the views, but the earned media and the sharing and the social is more than the paid media. You're getting more views from people sharing with other friends. And I think that's very different than the traditional marketing idea of you interrupt people, you force them to see something. More people are seeing this because a friend shared this or because it was posted on social media.
And there's an epiphany that comes out of that, right? The epiphany for me, which is like, which is probably more shocking than the epiphany that said we should kind of move into this newsroom style. And that's more about that. I used to think that it was all about unique monthly views. It was all about website traffic and number of unique users on a site. There is no website in this. When content goes viral, it's about the piece of content, how the voice is branded, and the more times you hit people with that piece of different pieces of content, the more they consider. So it doesn't matter where they are. So I came from a world that was all about unique visitors, and I'm not as married to that now. And now, frankly, it's like saying Jerry Seinfeld is only funny if you see him at Caroline's Comedy Club. You know what I mean? It's like the house is irrelevant. It's really about the voice that lures you in. And we saw from metrics with your stuff, people who virally share are like 3 times more likely to consider Virgin Mobile products and services. So that's where I'm at, is trying to focus on how to amplify that.
Yeah, I think we're in this exciting moment where we're inventing social advertising.
Right.
And we've been doing some studies together, and we've done studies with GE, where you actually see that when someone receives a message through sharing, it has a much bigger impact on them. And it makes sense anecdotally that when someone passes something on to you, you're gonna trust it more than when you see it directly as an ad. But we're finally getting the evidence to show that social advertising actually works in changing the way people see the world.
As long as you can just look at the voice and build it authentically. What I hope wouldn't happen at places like Buzzfeed is that a brand comes and just farms it out, and then you guys write the voice and they're like, yeah, whatever, go, just make it happen. I think when you really get invested in it is when you author the voice. Like our staff that writes all the content that shows up on Buzzfeed, that shows up on Tumblr, that shows up on Facebook, is an internal crew of people, an internal group of writers. I mean, we leverage our agencies, of course, to do that, but it's really meant to kind of author, be accountable for the voice ourselves, not to farm it out. And only then do you start to like realize, oh, that'd be a good, and you can react quicker that way, you know, and you can kind of, and our goal is to react. News comes out within 24 hours, we can publish to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 2 steps ahead of a lot of other brands. The first step is you realize you have content, and you realize that it can be packaged, and you realize it can be distributed through social channels, through Facebook, through Twitter, and that's most of the brands we work with. That's what we do. I think the 2 steps the 2 ways you push that further is you said, let's do newsroom marketing, and let's make this real time. Let's figure out internally and organizationally how we can act more quickly. And then the second is let's have our own team deeply invested in creating content and learning how to make the content themselves. Right. And I think those are 2 things that like most people aren't doing yet. And I guess, you know, as you sort of step into this area, like where do you think it could go, and what else could you do? Well,
I think the natural progression is a 3rd step, and the 3rd step is, okay, now that we realize that people who dig the content are more willing to consider our brand, now how do we leverage some of the paid advertising and surround it around those moments when things are actually going viral? It's never been before that we're able to actually see when something goes viral, and that's what's like really blown my mind about this whole thing. So why not take, if you're knowing the instant someone is sharing something that was born on BuzzFeed but found on Stumbled Upon, then target your media buy dynamically to serve the ads on Stumbled Upon to the URL that you've cookied, so that they're aware to say, from the people who brought you this hysterical moment about Instagram, comes the ad that we have that's all contextual, and then that will route more users to the site if they have to investigate. So the 3rd step, I think, is basically how to now get paid media to catch up and be super, super dynamic in serving around moments of virality.
Yeah, I mean, it's like marketing has been run like a bus stop, and it could be a heat-seeking missile. You know, it's like why go on a bus route when you can have a heat-seeking missile? And I think one of the counterintuitive things is that people think about spending on the things that aren't doing well. They say, oh, like this campaign isn't performing well, or this movie isn't opening big enough, or this show isn't getting enough viewers. Let's spend money to make that make up the difference of the performance. But what we found is that when you spend money on the winners, when you spend money on things that people love and people want to share, for every 1 person you send through paid media, you'll get 2 people, from sharing it, because you're sending them to content that person really wants to share. And I think that's a pretty big difference than the normal mode of like spending money to hide your down, hide cover up your downside, and actually looking what's going viral right now and how do we like push this further.
And I think like one other point is that you have to have a certain level of humility as a brand to realize that you're going to put stuff out there that sucks. You're going to put stuff out there that's going to fail, and you're basically going to multiply what you're putting out there with hopes that a couple of things pop and go viral. Our pace, we've got something that's already 200,000 views on.
I think 300 now.
It's sure.
Yeah.
It's 1 million views, and it's and basically and more than half of that's gone viral. That's like one out of we've got maybe on one hand the number of things that have gone viral, but we've published up to 100 items. But those three have more than made up for what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's actually a big trend in the industry that we're going to see in the next few years. Is a kind of portfolio-based approach to marketing, where instead of taking your entire creative budget and making one asset and saying, okay, this has to go viral or else we're screwed, you say, all right, let's make a bunch of things, let's make them quickly, let's experiment, let's use real-time data to see what's working, and then when we see something's working, double down, triple down on it.
And I think like your two BFFs in this world that you really need to build relationships with are legal and whatever privacy issues you have to face, and really get it. It has to be an organizational shift to realize that you need a progressive legal team, a progressive privacy team, a progressive management team, brand management team that says, you know what, we understand that we may not see the benefits of this day one of launch as you would a spot that you launch, but after a month, which is how long it took us, you start to really see the multiplier effect happen, and then it happens. So it's all in the execution.
Yeah, well, it's been a fun journey, and thanks so much. It's been great talking, and I think we're all done.
We're all done. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks a lot.